Golden Freddy. Golden Freddy is the secret fifth animatronic in FNAF 1, who has a 1 in 100,000 chance of spawning when looking at camera 2B. When this happens, the poster in the west hall corner will change to one of him, and he'll be in your office when you put the monitor down. Looking at him for too long will cause him to jump scare you and crash your game, but this can be prevented by just pulling the monitor up to despawn him. Custom Night. The Custom Night, also known as Night 7, is a mode in FNAF 1 where you can set how active each animatronic is from 0 to 20, with 0 disabling them and 20 making them the most aggressive. It's me. It's me is a phrase commonly seen in FNAF 1, but from what I could find it doesn't have much meaning or significance. Foxy is shy. In Night 2, Bongai tells the player about Foxy, saying this about him.
The character in there seems unique in that he becomes more active if the cameras remain off for long periods of time. I guess he doesn't like being watched.
Kitchen camera. The kitchen camera is unique as its visuals are disabled, only letting you hear what's happening inside. In an interview, Cawthon explained that he added it to encourage people to pay attention to audio and not just visuals.
I think originally, I had wanted, and I just got better with this in later games, how to make audio play a bigger role in it. I got better at that. But in the first one, that was just my attempt to make audio play a bigger part in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of ended up just being just something different and not really being a major mechanic or anything.
Yeah.
FNAF Plus. FNAF Plus was a planned remake of FNAF 1 developed by Fiznum, which was intended to be much darker, including all new graphics, mechanics and features including mod support. It was part of the Fazbear Fanverse initiative, which intended to let certain fan games be monetized and endorsed by Cawthon. However, in August 2023, Fiznum announced that he was no longer working on the game and that his contract was terminated. Not long after, the game was delisted from Steam, rendering the game's future uncertain.
Effective some days ago, I am no longer developing Five Nights at Freddy's Plus. Any kind of association I had with FNAF, Scott Games, or anything related to the FNAF franchise has been terminated.
FNAF 1 newspapers. In the East Hall, what's supposed to be a sheet of rules of the pizzeria can change into a series of newspaper articles about the missing children incident, which is when William Afton lured 5 children into the pizzeria, killed them, and stuffed their bodies into the 5 animatronics. 1987. In Custom Night, entering the numbers 1987 will do this. Hallucinations. In FNAF 1, the player can hallucinate different images and sounds, such as visions of Freddy and Bonnie. These are completely random and can happen at any point in the game. 1993. It's mostly agreed that FNAF 1 takes place in the year 1993, however there have also been theories about the game taking place somewhere between the late 80s to the early 2000s. Achievements. The console ports of FNAF 1 have achievements for completing each night. Sentry could also refer to the stars that show up on the main menu for beating nights 5, 6, and 7. Honk noise. In FNAF 1, clicking on Freddy's nose on the poster of him will play a honking noise. FNAF 1 demo. On July 24th, 2014, a free demo for FNAF 1 was released on IndieDB, which lets you play through nights 1 and 2. This demo was also available on the mobile version, but was deleted after its remastered update. Eyeless Bonnie. Whenever the player goes back to the title screen, there is a 1 in 1,000 chance of this image of Bonnie appearing for about 10 seconds before going back to the title screen. Halloween update. On PC and mobile, if the time is set to October 31st, the office will be decorated with Halloween lights and a jack-o'-lantern. This also happens in FNAF 2 and 3. Plushies. In the mobile port of FNAF 1, you can buy plushies of the 4 animatronics, making them appear in your office. Bonus text and help wanted newspaper. When starting a new game, the text in the corners of the newspaper are blurred. This text actually reads, blah 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 blah. This ad has nothing to do with anything relevant to the game, blah 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 blah. Chances are you won't make it past night 3, blah blah yakety yakety blah blah. This probably isn't the best choice of a summer job since you most likely won't survive the week. I'll recommend being a cashier, backboy, or working in a warehouse. Those are all very respectable jobs, and you probably won't be killed doing them. Or you might, but it would be unlikely, blah blah. Speedruns. There are speedruns of FNAF 1 which doesn't really make sense since the game progresses at a constant speed with no ways to skip anything. As of now, the fastest time to beat nights 1 through 5 is 45 minutes and 23 seconds by Felp. Original mobile port. When FNAF 1 was first released on mobile, there were many differences to the PC version, mostly due to hardware limitations. In 2019, the mobile versions were remastered, fixing or changing all of these differences to make them more faithful to the original game. Sparky the Dog. Shortly after FNAF 1's release, rumours of a sixth animatronic named Sparky the Dog started going around, along with this supposed screenshot of him. The rumour claimed that Sparky only shows up backstage and doesn't hurt the player. Sparky actually makes an appearance in the FNAF movie, showing up backstage just like in the original rumour. Foxy is a good guy. This is an old theory that when Foxy jump scares you, he's actually checking up on you, and the scream he makes gives you a heart attack and kills you. Nowadays it sounds like a large stretch, but this theory was made not long after the game came out, and at this point people were trying to piece together any kind of story they could. Stare stage screen. In the files of FNAF 1 there exists an image of Bonnie, Chica and Freddy staring directly at the player. While it can't be seen in-game, it can still be found in the trailer. Survival Kit. In the mobile version of FNAF 1, you can buy a survival kit which makes nights go by twice as quickly, gives you unlimited power and lets you see where each animatronic is, beating FNAF 1 without using door lights. It's actually possible to beat nights 1 through 6 without using the door lights. However, it's very difficult since normally you only need to use the cameras to drive Freddy and Foxy away from you, whereas you need to keep track of every animatronic's position without the lights. Scott had nightmares making Bonnie. On a Steam post, Scott Cawthon revealed that while working on the first FNAF game, he had a nightmare where Bonnie was in his house, causing him to jump out of his bed and hold his door shut. Who killed Phone Guy? During the Nightfall phone call, Phone Guy gets killed by an animatronic, but it's not certain which one it is since multiple sound effects play just before he dies.
I'm gonna try to hold out until someone checks. Maybe it won't be so bad. Yeah, I always wondered what was in all those empty heads back there. You know. Oh no.
It's generally accepted that Golden Freddy is the one who killed him, since if it were to be any other animatronic, the normal jump scare sound should have played. Scrapped lives. In the files of FNAF 1, there are two textures for a lives icon and some text reading lives. This mechanic can be seen in some gameplay footage that Scott had posted to his YouTube channel around a month before FNAF 1 released. Night 5 Call Origin. It's believed that the call from Night 5 is actually an excerpt from the book Autobiography of a Yogi with some effects added onto it.
Speeded by fully use your marvelous mechanism, but it's not easily possible to employ on the feminine quick laboratory and to indicate the influence of various hyperflies on plant growth. You're right, you will be made by to generate all the nodes and bring you the joy of freedom.
It's possible that Scott chose this book on purpose since it suggests the idea of metal being a living thing, which could correlate to the animatronics as their endoskeletons are made of metal. Early endoskeleton design. Endo 01 had a different design during FNAF 1's development, having a larger mouth, sharper teeth, and black eyes with red pupils. FNAF 1 Kickstarter. In June 2014, Scott Cawthon made a Kickstarter page to fund the development of FNAF 1. The rewards for donating would have been a pack of desktop wallpapers, an early copy of the game, and the chance to be a beta tester, receiving a new build of the game every week up until the game's release. The page was only cancelled 3 days after it was launched, so it's likely that Scott realised he didn't need any money to finish the game. It also uses the same trailer as the one on YouTube, suggesting the game was already mostly complete at that point. Jump Scare Origin. This is pretty common knowledge now, but the game's famous jump scare sound comes from a clip of the 1981 film Inseminoid. Michael is the night guard in FNAF 1. In FNAF 1, he plays Michael Afton, going under the name of Mike Schmidt, presumably to avoid anyone questioning his identity. Cheats and debug codes. There are two cheats you can activate in FNAF 1 by pressing certain keys at the same time. Pressing C, D, and plus will skip the night you're on, and pressing C, D, and 2 will unlock nights 6 and 7. FNAF 1 was Scott's last project. Prior to making FNAF, Scott Cawthon had been making video games for around 20 years, most of them being oriented around his Christian faith. Scott had planned to make FNAF his last attempt at video game development, as all of his other projects had little to no success and praise, an example being his 2013 game, Chipper & Sons Lumber Co., being criticised for having characters that look like animatronics. Bonnie running animation. There's a clip in the FNAF 1 trailer of Bonnie running across the hallway, which implies that Bonnie was supposed to be the one that does this in-game instead of Freddy Bear. Before the game's release, Freddy was supposed to be called Freddy Bear, which can be seen in the game's old Kickstarter page. Golden Freddy is a hallucination. It's believed that Golden Freddy is a hallucination, as he is triggered by a hallucination of the poster, and when he's in your office, he can cause other visual and auditory hallucination. Who calls at Night 5? It's implied that one of the animatronics is the one speaking in the Night 5 call, since it's interrupted by the jump scare sound at some points. There's also a theory that it's actually Phone Guy after being stuffed into a suit since the call's in reversed English, but it's unknown what suit he's actually in. Active Foxy on Night 1. Foxy can become active on Night 1, and he can even die to him in some instances. This is because as each night goes on, all animatronics increase their AI level, and in Night 1, Foxy goes up from level 0 to 2 by 4 AM, beating FNAF 1 by doing nothing. It's possible to beat every night in FNAF 1 without doing anything, by using software to set the game's FPS cap to a very low number. This is because each animatronic waits a certain amount of frames before trying to move, meaning that if the game is running at a really low frame rate, it will take much longer for them to move since the amount of frames they wait does not change, only the time between each frame. This mainly applies to Foxy as he's the only one who can attack you without waiting for you to pull the cameras up. "1987 Rumor." Shortly after FNAF 1's release, it was rumored that putting 1987 into the custom night would unlock a secret ending that gives some more information on the Bite of 87. A few months later, Scott Cawthon added the Golden Freddy Easter egg I mentioned earlier to stop this rumor from being spread around. Lost trailer. Shortly after FNAF 1's trailer was uploaded to YouTube, user Warmeat made a comment mentioning another trailer. In 2020, Warmeat was asked about what was in the trailer, and he said that it featured an early endoskeleton design with HAL 9000 styled eyes. Reddit user The Freddy Channel would find a Wayback Machine link to Scott Cawthon's old Google Plus account, which features 3 videos. 2 will be uploaded to YouTube, whereas the last one, titled 5 Nights, was rumored to be the lost trailer. Only a day later, Warmeat would make a Twitter post saying that when he was making the comment, he was accidentally talking about the current trailer and the image of the old endoskeleton design. While this trailer has been debunked, the contents of the 5 Nights video remain a mystery. Golden Freddy Game Over. When getting a game over, there's a 1 in 10,000 chance of seeing the Golden Freddy jump scare for a split second before going back to the main menu. Scrapped animatronics and the puppet in FNAF 1. There are 2 animatronics planned to be in FNAF 1, a beaver and a wolf, both of which were unnamed and eventually replaced by Foxy. The beaver was removed because it looked too similar to a character from Chipper & Sons Lumber Co., and the wolf was removed for unknown reasons. In October 2014, Scott revealed that the scrapped animatronics would end up in FNAF 2, leading some to believe that Balloon Boy and the puppet were planned for FNAF 1, as they were the only original characters in the game. However, in an interview, Scott revealed that the beaver and the wolf were the only ones planned for FNAF 1. Version 0.9. Version 0.9 is a private early access build of FNAF 1. The version apparently had very few differences to the final game and is considered lost media. Night 8. Night 8 does not exist and no mention of it is present in the game's files. Any videos of someone playing through it are edited. 666 and 6666 and 2015. These are all rumors that different things happen for putting certain combinations into the custom night, similar to 1987. They are as follows. If you were to enter 0666 or 6666, the kitchen camera would activate. This is proven false as no such images exist in the game's files. If 2015 was entered, this would unlock an unspecified secret in FNAF 2. Pirated Taunted Death. This is another rumor in which if FNAF 1 is pirated, the player would be jump scared by Freddy upon trying to close the game. This was proven false since the jump scare frames aren't always loaded in. Fazbear Entertainment kills night guards. I'm assuming this refers to when Phone Guy says this in Night 3.
Hey, you're doing great. Most people don't last this long. I mean, you know, they usually move on to other things by now.
Note that he says that people usually move on, which implies that some people would have had to have died on the job for him to say it. There's also this in Night 1, showing that Fazbear Entertainment avoid responsibility for their employees and only take action out of necessity.
Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for damage to property or person. Upon discovering that damage or death has occurred, a missing person report will be filed within 90 days or as soon as property and premises have been thoroughly cleaned and bleached and the carpets have been replaced. Blah, blah, blah. Now, that might sound